It is? Okay. So pretty much I just watched it. I've watched the whole season as it goes. The first episode, it was okay. I would give it a 7. The second episode, I gave a 9. The third episode was an 8. And then the last episode was a 10. But, man, if this were to release 1 and then 2, 3, 4, and 5, like every episode would be one upping each other back to back to back. Because the weakest one is the first one, right? And then the second one would be the second weakest. It has an interesting premise, but it's not like, oh my god, it's now the second one, awesome. The fourth one, awesome. And then the new episode, What If Sam is awesome, man. Like, it's just so good. It's just so good. So off the bat, I never read the original Marvel Zombies comic book. I don't know much about it. Obviously, they don't have the same amount of heroes here than in the comics, because in the comics I assume that they have the X-Men and the Fantastic Four and it's a lot bigger. But they still managed to do a lot. And I was like, okay, if this is an animated show, it's Disney. They're not going to delve into anything too dark. They're not going to do anything too violent. And with Doctor Strange this episode, I was like, okay, that was really dark, but not too overly violent, just really dark themes. And I was like, okay. And then this episode was very dark and very bloody, very violent. There are parts of this episode where you're like, whoa. Just very specific parts, right? And I'm not going to put it all, but, it just starts. Bruce Banner, it just starts in the middle of Infinity War. Bruce Banner comes back to Earth, and he finds that the Earth is destroyed. Most of the Avengers are already dead. The main ones are already dead. There's only a handful of Avengers left. Bucky, Okoye, Hope Van Dyne, uh, Spider-Man, obviously, and there's Happy. There's Sharon Carter, that guy from Ant-Man who has a funny accent, and that's pretty much it. And then they have to find the cure. So they have to travel to a beacon, and then the beacon is Vision. And when Vision comes in, dude, this episode was crazy, right? The fact that Vision, you're like, okay, so Vision's here, awesome, we'll be fine. And then he starts being like really weird about it, and then the guy from Ant-Man, he's like the Baba Yaga, the witch, which you've heard references of that if you've seen John Wick. In John Wick, I think they say it means the boogeyman, but here it means the witch. And when he says I can feel the witch, I'm like, wait, are we talking about Wanda? And then Vision gets off this awesome, awesome line.
Would have no problem submitting to human justice.
You have
Wakened her.
She hasn't eaten in days.
I'm like, dude. This scene, this music, this whole thing, this whole scene, and then they eat this guy. And then there's kind of like just ruining the freaking the freaking emotion. What happened to Bucky? That's my question. What happened to Bucky? And where's Bruce Banner? They never show you his death. She just throws him off. And we've seen other iterations where Captain America or Bucky Barnes survive huge falls, so he's definitely not dead. And if he is dead, then I'm like, what? Okay, that doesn't make any sense. What happened to Bucky? What happened to Bruce Banner? Because we saw that the Hulk skin is so strong that nobody can really bite him. Nobody can really infect him. But could Wanda? She's so strong, maybe she could infect him. Maybe she could penetrate his skin, like what happened to Hope. She didn't get bitten, she just got scratched. And then her skin got in contact with some other zombie blood. Sharon Carter's death is the most bloody death in the whole freaking episode. She gets exploded. The whole scene with Cap, I did feel like Bucky was a little disconnected. He's like,
Guess this is the end of the line.
I mean, he is a soldier, so I get it, but he like, Sharon Carter is like everywhere. I like the cape, the fact that the cape is like an additional character in the show. Peter Parker, we get to see the most important thing for me in the whole thing. We get to see uh T'Challa, which is like the big reveal that actually Vision is actually feeding T'Challa to Scarlet Witch, which is like, whoa. And Chadwick Boseman comes back. I think that's him. So his episode wasn't the last time we saw him. It's this episode that the last time we see Black Panther, which is just so it's and the fact that he survived and he came back, and at the end of the episode we get the huge cliffhanger. Bada bing boom bam. It's not over. Thanos is a zombie, and he has the Infinity Stones. I don't know how he got infected though, because if he's just as strong as Hulk, or stronger, because he beat him in hand-to-hand combat, wouldn't that mean that he can get bitten also? So who infected Thanos? That's my question. Who infected the Mad Titan? And this is the OG Thanos, the ones that we know. This ain't the other one from the T'Challa universe. And I guess Scott Lang is the floating head, so he gets the cape so he can fly. And that's it. I mean, so many good things, man. And no end credit scenes for any of these episodes, but still, it's not necessary. And another important thing, all these episodes end on a cliffhanger. So if you do season 2, it's each episode going to be a continuation of each episode, of each story, of each universe. I mean, the one that you could say, like, we're not going to do that one is maybe Doctor Strange, because maybe he can appear in Doctor Strange: The Multiverse of Madness. Maybe we can see this iteration of him on the other multiverse. You could definitely do an additional story of episode 3, where Captain Marvel comes in to fight Loki. You could definitely do a continuation of What If Zombies, because it ends on a cliffhanger. You could definitely do a continuation of Captain Carter, the first Avenger, because it ends when she comes back to our time. Like, how does that work? Is she going to form her own Avengers? So this is not going to be the last time we see T'Challa. Because in the trailer for What If I remember, there's like an Avengers, but it's Gamora, and there's the Star-Lord T'Challa is there too. But if I remember correctly, it was Gamora, Thor, T'Challa. I don't remember if Captain Carter was there. But yeah. Yeah. And I guess in What If Zombies, Civil War never happened because the Avengers are still formed, and T'Challa is part of the Avengers. So maybe that's different from What If Zombies. The Civil War never happened because Captain and everyone stood together. It was really violent. It was really dark. It was so freaking good. I love the fact that Disney, whoever greenlit this, Kevin Feige, whoever directing this, whoever is behind this idea, and they're like, no, we need this show. I thought it was going to be like a kid's show. Like, the first episode was fine. It wasn't too overly dark, too overly violent. The second episode, same thing. It was really cool, a lot of Easter eggs. Third episode was kind of dark because it was murdering the Avengers. And then it got darker with the Doctor Strange one because everything ends. And then this one is, like, really dark because it's the apocalypse and it's really violent. And Vision is literally leading survivors to their deaths so he can get them, freaking strip them, and then feed them to Wanda. So yeah, this is not for kids. So if you want your kids to be watching this show, I wouldn't recommend it. Because if I was a kid and I started seeing my favorite heroes turn into zombies, I don't think I'd be very happy. Yeah. Well, thank you for coming to the Non-Original channel. My name is Abner.